We're going in the garden today to do a little bit of work. 65 degrees out. So I thought it'd be a perfect opportunity to get some stuff cleaned up in here that did not get cleaned up last year. A lot of leaves and dead stuff that needs cleaned up. All right. So I bought this property in 2018. This area had a small garden already. We've expanded it quite a bit. There's asparagus and rhubarb in here when I moved here. Right in front of us is the asparagus patch, somewhere in that mess. I moved the rhubarb to a better spot. This is mostly, I would call kind of a perennial area. It's what it's evolving into anyways. Over here, this mess of, looks like brown stalks. This is Egyptian onions. Some people call them walking onions. Let me try to get a little closer here. Right there. They're an onion variety that spreads. Let me try to find some bulbs. Here are some. They're trying to root. So these little bulbs, you can see some green. They'll root in. Basically what happens is these tall stalks, like this was green. This was a green onion top, and what they do is on the top of here, they form these bulbules. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Bulbules. Like what I just had in my hand. A group of them, 3, 4, whatever, will grow on top of here. And that gets weighed down, and it eventually drops. And those little bulbules replant themselves. And that's how you get the name walking onion. It's like they're walking across your garden. And so those little bulbules will take root and grow more onions. I can see quite a few of them still here in the ground. They're trying to grow. There's a lot of them. This all needs cleaned up badly. So that's the area I keep asparagus and walking onion in. We try to paper and mulch the walkways just to keep the weeds down. Obviously, it's not a perfect plan, but it does help a lot. Over here in the straw, I had sweet potatoes last year. This year, I think I'm going to try to string up some sweet peas. And then we will take these timbers here, surround it, and after the peas are gone, I will put more blackberries, which is what's here on this panel here. These were just started last year. They've done great. This one here, I bought at Tractor Supply. But these two monsters, let's see if I can get them all in here. I don't know if I can get it all. But those two starts I bought from my neighbor who does a lot of plants and has a little greenhouse. So those did great. I can't wait to have fresh blackberries. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to prune those or not. They were not that big when I got them last year. They've grown a lot. So I need to research that, see if I need to cut that back or not, or if that's where the new growth for this year will be. I don't know. So I've got 6 raised beds over here. These 2 here had carrots and onions last year. And this one back here also had some kale. No, Swiss chard. Sorry. This brown mess is Swiss chard. But I planted this 2 years ago. It overwinters in Ohio. This has had a lot of snow on it. very cold temperatures, and it so far had been coming back continuously. There's still a little bit of green in here, not a lot. I'm gonna pull this all out. These 2 beds here are gonna be turned into strawberry beds because these other 4 are strawberry beds, and we really love strawberries, so my goal is to have 6 raised beds of strawberries. These 2 here in the middle, I started those, I want to say 2 years ago. I took starts from these first 2, all those runners, and I transplanted them over here. And they did really good. So these 2 beds should do really well this year. You can see I never got to cleaning up all the runners, and I didn't do any transplanting like I wanted to over here, but such is life. So as you can see, more grass in the walkway. Not a perfect method, but it does help. Over here, we'll start here. I had at one time about 5 blueberry plants. I don't do well with blueberries. I do the fertilizing like you're supposed to with a special blueberry fertilizer, and I don't know, I just cannot get blueberry plants to grow very good. I've tried and tried, and if these remaining 3 don't make it, I think I'm giving up. It just gets too expensive, and I don't know. I'd really like to have them. They look like maybe they're getting some buds on them. I don't know. We'll see if they make it. I've got 3 of those there. And then in this mess here that needs cleaned up, last year I had all my garlic. This year it's weeds. So that needs cleaned up. Because over here I've got raspberries. I love fresh, warm raspberries in the summer. They grew like crazy. I know there's some here, it looks a little bare, but there should be one in there somewhere. Maybe it got knocked over. So my plan is once these start taking off this year, I'm going to transplant some of those into a row over here so that I've got 2 nice full rows of raspberries. And then if those blueberries don't make it, well, I guess the raspberries will overtake it. Back here, on this weed barrier, I had tomatoes last year. They grew really well. I had a bumper crop of tomatoes last year. I love this fabric. The rest of the garden is going to get it everywhere we can. It is just so time saving, back saving, knee saving, you name it. Love it. Works well. Plants do not get overheated. They still get water. It's woven. It's really great. I got this idea from the Living Traditions homestead. They use it and I'm sold on it. Not sure what I'm going to do with this area just yet. I know some people plan way ahead how they're going to plant their garden. I do somewhat, but I also need to walk around and visualize things so I know how it's going to fit. Over here, I've got a little trellis for grapes. These are, I believe, white grape. I think they're called Glenora. I have not had anything to harvest yet. These will be going in to their, I want to say second, third year. I'm not very good at remembering these things. They vined out really nice last year. I'm trying to train them on the wire. Here again, I'm not real educated on how to grow grapes. I'm not sure if I need to be pruning these back too. I know with raspberries you do prune some of them. I've grown raspberries a lot longer than I have any other fruit. Oh, other than strawberries. This is the first time I've ever had any grape plants that looked like they were thriving. So I'm really hoping we can start getting some fruit from these grapes this year. We've got 4 of these. So yeah, if I can get a grape harvest and a blackberry harvest this year along with my strawberries and raspberries, oh, I'm gonna be thrilled. But yeah, with these grapes, there's mulch and paper here, but as you can see, a lot of grass. It's just really hard to keep that down. We're just gonna have to put all this woven DeWitt fabric down because it is so amazing. It's a lot of work and the stuff's not exactly cheap, but it works really well. Over here, let's see if I can get this gate open. It's sticking. Well, anyways, this gate's a little stuck. I've got some elderberry plants. Got 4 of them. They're a couple years old too. Didn't get any fruit from them last year. They did blossom. I think the birds and the deer got to them before I could get anything. They're budding out. Everything looks good. However, it's only mid-March and it's going to be 70 degrees today. I'm really concerned about all these things budding out and it freezing because I know the cold is not over. I know we'll have at least one more good snow. Last year we had a snow at the end of April. I'm going to say we had 4 or 5 inches of snow the very last week of April. Spring, the end of winter, early spring had kind of started like this year is. Got warm early. Things budded out, like these apple trees. Snowed. Freezing temperatures. We didn't get any apples last year. These apple trees were here when I bought it, obviously. I've only lived here about 4 years. Never really had a very good harvest from them. About a year ago, we went through and pruned them pretty heavily. Well, except for this one. Not all of it got pruned real heavily. I was getting worried about how much my husband was butchering them, so he stopped. But yeah, there maybe were a couple apples up there I can see. Those need to be taken out because I think that can cause disease. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we want to keep those up there. I think this one is a Cortland apple. And then maybe a Red Delicious. I'd have to look at the papers. I know one of these is for sure a Cortland. First couple years I lived here, there was a few on the ground here and there, but I never sprayed them, never did anything for maintenance, and the people that lived here before never took care of any of the pruning or much of the upkeep outside. Did a fabulous job renovating and updating the house, but that's where they spent all their time and money, I believe, and just didn't have it to put into the outside. So it's been up to me and then my husband to work on the outside. It takes a lot of time. I really, really want to get some apples. Really hope to get some good apples. But yeah, this first couple years, they were pretty wormy. I'd cut out the bad spots and eat what was good. Oh, they were delicious. About 2 years ago, planted this apple tree because these two are older. They were planted in the early 80s from the records I have found. Don't know how much longer they'll last, but this is one here is a Black Arkansas apple. I'd like to get at least one more apple out here in case these older two start dying back. They're not producing much of anything, but that's probably partly my fault. So I'm hoping to get another apple tree out here this year. Maybe a plum too, pear, I'm not sure, but for sure an apple.